Alright, a brief disclaimer before the main part of this video begins, or the real video begins. I want you to know that regardless of where Alita ends up, we are going to continue with our push. We're going to continue doing exactly what Landau told us to do. And so, whether Alita is at Disney or not is irrelevant. We just want to trend. We want to get our voices out there, and we want to make sure all of Hollywood and all of those people who are in this positions of power to decide what movies get greenlit and whatnot, that they all know that we want an Alita sequel. Right now, it doesn't necessarily have to be Disney. And that is the this little disclaimer that I wanted to add to the beginning of this video. I had neglected to talk about this news a couple days ago, but since some more news came out today, I have an opportunity now to talk about it. So Emma Watts, right? She worked for 20th Century Fox. She has resigned, and she is going to be seeking new opportunities, in her words. And we'll get into where she might be going in a minute. But first, I'll report on the article from a few days ago before I get to the one that came out today. Now, a few days ago, the Hollywood Reporter had reported that Emma Watts resigned as chief of 20th Century Fox. You know, I'm going to still call it 20th Century Fox because that's what it was. But now, of course, they want to call it 20th Century Studios, which, oddly enough, it was already 20th Century Studios like a long time ago before I guess it merged with Fox. So it's just really just returning to the name that it used to have. But still, to me, it's 20th Century Fox. And so here's what she said. I'm writing to you today to share that after much reflection, I've made the difficult decision to step away from 20th Century, Watts said in a note sent to staff Thursday morning. Over the past many months, it's been my top priority to continue to foster great filmmaking while leading this team successfully through the integration period with Disney. After reaching this point, I approached Walt Disney Studios co-chairman Alan Horn and Alan Bergman, realizing that it was now time for me to pursue new opportunities. And there were some notes here that I added, and that was, it is interesting to see what Deadpool star Ryan Reynolds had to say about her departure. Deadpool would never have happened without Emma Watts, and certainly wouldn't have been as good. And Jim Cameron said, it is hard to imagine Fox without Emma. Her creative input and support were invaluable on Avatar, and even more so on the sequels. She deeply understands movies in her DNA, how they work, what's wrong when it's not working, how to fix it. And Steven Spielberg said, which is really, really key, just like what Reynolds said actually, Emma is a studio executive at title, but a filmmaker at heart. Her support and willingness to take risks is what this business has always thrived on. So you have people like Steven Spielberg saying that movies should take risks, right? That's what the industry thrives on, right? When you're not taking risks with your movies, you're doing something wrong. You're not actually creating art. You're not creating anything memorable or creating anything worthwhile. And this is what Emma Watts was bringing to the table. She was very filmmaker driven, and as chief, she had the ability to make these movies happen, even in her position at Disney. I guess if they would let her do her job, but from the sound of it, they were not letting her do her job, and we'll get to that. So I'm going to go to the news from today, and this is from the Hollywood Reporter again. 20th Century Studios diminished future. All right, let's read here. As Emma Watts exits, Disney former Fox unit will now be the home to some adult dramas and pre-branded remakes, plus Hulu or Disney Plus titles and 4 Avatar sequels. So Fox, or I mean, okay, 20th Century Studios or 20th Century Pictures, whatever. The whole studio is getting a downgrade. Uh, it sounds like they're going to be doing some very niche movies, and also mostly made for TV or made for streaming content. But it's going to be more adult oriented, but it is also smaller scale from the looks of it. So movies, by the sound of it, movies like you notice they didn't mention Alita, right? Of course, they're not going to mention Alita, but I'm just saying, like they mentioned the Avatar sequels. They said Disney Plus, Hulu or Disney Plus titles, and 4 Avatar sequels. They don't mention many other blockbusters outside of the Avatar movies. So that kind of sounds to me like this downscaling or this diminishing that Fox is receiving is going to apply to all of the blockbuster movies as well. There probably won't be any more blockbuster movies coming out of 20th Century Studios. I heard there was going to be some remakes like Planet of the Apes remakes and things like that, but just reading this right here, it sounds like they are going to be just, if it's not a remake, right? Rebrand. If it's not a rebranded remake or an adult drama, it's not happening. Basically, it's just going to be Avatar and a bunch of remakes, which is pretty much, I guess, what Disney is good for, making a bunch of remakes. They don't have any original ideas anymore. They don't take risks. So 10 months after, I'm reading here. 10 months after Disney gobbled up 20th Century Fox as part of the $71.3 billion deal, Emma Watts was still working out of Building 88. I actually want to skip this part. I want to go down to, I'm going to go down to this line here. After leading a major studio, Watts realized she couldn't stomach the diminishment in power and autonomy that came with running a pared-down fiefdom within Disney, sources close to her tell The Hollywood Reporter. So this is why she left. She said she was going to seek new opportunities, and the article that they had before, she said it was the time for her to move on, and now we're learning why. They had, and I imagine what exactly would push this woman to leave Fox behind. She had been there for so long. She has people like Cameron there. She has Lightstorm there. Imagine what would it take to get her to leave this situation. It would have to be something pretty significant, and that's why I'm thinking outside of remakes, they're not going to take any more risk on big blockbuster movies. That includes an Alita sequel. That's the way it looks to me. And she can't handle that. She's not there for that. So she's leaving. That if there's going to be an Alita sequel, it's not going to happen at Disney. I mean, I guess a sequel. Sequels, I guess, are still possible, but not by what this article seems to be saying. If it's not a remake, something that was already proven successful, that they can just rebrand and just put it out there again, it's probably not happening. Let's see here. The executive departure the executive departure also is a blow to Hollywood's small sorority of female executives, rare among majors. Fox had boasted a deep bench of powerful women in the upper ranks. In the wake of the merger, Watts joins former 20th Century Fox chairman Stacy Snyder, former Fox 2000 chief Elizabeth Gabler, and former Fox marketing chief Pamela Levine out the door. Under Disney, 20th will now release about 4 movies a year theatrically, down from as many as 6 or 7, and focus equally, if not more, on making content for Disney Plus and Hulu. There's no Alita sequel coming from Disney. I'm looking at this right now. It's not happening at Disney. Fox's Marvel movies, such as Deadpool, now fall under Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige's purview. For Watts, who worked closely with Reynolds in bringing the Deadpool series to the big screen, and also was behind the larger X-Men franchise, this meant handing over some of her prized projects. Now, again, like Reynolds said, Deadpool was successful because it took risks, and And Emma Watts was key to that. Now notice how when Disney had absorbed Fox, the first thing they did was test a PG-13 rated version of Deadpool. I don't believe we're ever going to get an R-rated version of Deadpool. I think if they say they're just floating that out there, it's just marketing. They're not going to do it. It's going to be PG-13, and I would say this is kind of like what they do with when they say, well, we're going to have a LGBT character, or we're going to have this character be the most powerful, or that character be the most powerful. They're just marketing. They're just hyping. They're using a hype machine. So if they're talking about Deadpool being rated R in the future, it's just a hype machine. They're not really going to do that. With Watts gone, you can forget about it. It's going to be PG-13. They've already tested it to see how much money it can make and what they can do with it. It feels possible. And I think to them, they probably thought, yeah, we can do this. We can do this PG-13. Now, I hope I don't forget to say something about how they treated her movies as well, and how they kind of throw her under the bus here when they are the ones, Disney, are the ones to blame for some of these movies failing. Now I'm going to go to here. The unit's biggest swing by far will be James Cameron's 4 Avatar sequels, set to hit cinemas in late 2021, 2023, 2025, and 2027. Pretty much that's it. When you're talking about the big blockbuster movies, it seems like that's all you're going to be getting from Fox until at least 2027. So for those who say that they're waiting to see how Avatar does, right, to decide if they're going to do an Alita sequel or not, I don't see that happening. Disney is not interested in Alita. They're not interested. And we can keep barking up that tree like John Landau told us to do, but he was probably expecting Emma Watts to still be there. But with Emma Watts gone and Fox or 20th Century apparently being severely downgraded, I don't really think there's any more chance of Alita happening at Disney. Now, reading on here, the label means Avatar and Avatar means the label, says Avatar producer John Landau. Disney insiders insist that 20th can still pursue anything outside of a family film and that adult-driven titles will be welcome. This is what Disney is saying, but we'll see if they stick to making adult content. That won't apply to blockbuster movies, though. I think that won't apply to rated R movies with a large budget, or even PG-13 movies with a large budget, such as Alita would be. If it's not an MCU movie or a Star Wars movie or a brand or something that they can bank on, I don't think they're going to take a chance on it. Now, there was more here. Since the merger closed, Watts had persuaded her bosses, Disney Studios co-chairman Alan Horn and Alan Bergman, to forge ahead with Ridley Scott's tentpole The Last Duel. Now, she had the ability to persuade Alan Horn and Alan Bergman, and I believe this is why Landau was telling us to keep peppering his family at Disney, and why we should have included her in the postcard campaign. And maybe it's possible that we can still get her we can maybe get her contact information, and maybe we could still find a way to get her some postcards and express our desire for an Alita sequel, and tell her wherever she ends up going, and there's going to be a possibility that it might be paramount, that we want an Alita sequel. And hopefully maybe we can actually get her to kind of get Cameron on board to go as well, wherever she's going. I'm going to skip down here. I don't think the label means anything anymore, says Bill Mechanic, who was CEO of Fox Film Entertainment from 1994 to 2000. It's a repository for rights to either remake pictures or use characters. You're making 4 movies a year out of branded product. So it's really, to them, nothing but a storage facility. Like, what properties do we have that we can just reboot, remake, or just continue to to beat to death, right? What corpses can we bring out to continue to beat some more? And that's pretty much how they're going to treat Fox. Nothing new or original, right? No more Alitas from Fox, in my opinion, or from Disney. The near future doesn't look much brighter. The Call of the Wild, which saw 125 million budget balloon after reshoots, is tracking to open at 15 million. Okay, I'm going to skip that part as well, and I'm going to go to she's expected. She's expected to have her pick of job options, and an obvious landing pad would be Paramount under studio chief Jim Giannopoulos. I think that's I don't know how to say that. Her former boss at Fox. I wonder if she would be able to get a high position, like probably preferably the same, maybe the same spot that she had at 20th Century. I hope, because that would be great if she got in there and was able to be a chief in the chief position again. That would really help us get an Alita sequel made, because Cameron could take it there, and hopefully she would kind of just tell him, bring it over here, you know. So I'm going to continue reading here. Let's see. I want to go down to few in Hollywood were surprised that Watts departed, but many were shocked that Disney let her go so easily. Both sides stressed that the exit was a kumbaya moment, unlike the abrupt dismissal of Gabler within hours of the merger closing. Disney aims to fill Watts' diminished job, and the studio is under some pressure to find a woman for the role. And this is what John Landau says. I hope they bring in someone who is filmmaker centric. Both the people at the studio and the filmmakers have to have the same goals. You have to have mutual respect to have the best results. I don't believe that John Landau actually expects Disney to put somebody who is filmmaker driven in that role. He can't be. All he has to do is look at what's happening with Star Wars, right? The last couple of years, see the mess that was. See what the MCU does, how they make everything. They basically take the creator's vision, right? They just lost Scott Derrickson over creative differences. You know, every time you have a director who wants to take things in his or her own direction, because they lost some female directors too, at least two. Thor: The Dark World almost had a was that Thor: The Dark World or Thor? Yeah, I think it was Thor: The Dark World that almost had a female director. And they keep losing these people because these people want to inject a part of their own creativity into the movies, and Disney or the MCU, Kevin Feige, whoever, isn't allowing it. If John Landau actually expects them to put somebody in a role who will be an advocate for them to take risks and take chances, then he is extremely naive. And I don't believe he is, and I don't believe Cameron is either. And I don't believe Rodriguez is. All three of these people know, especially, they got to be talking to Emma Watts too, right? So there's no way they don't know what the deal is here, and we're gonna have to keep an eye on where Emma Watts goes, because that may possibly be where Cameron decides to take an Alita sequel. And I'm not one of those people who believe that Cameron doesn't care about the Alita sequel. He's only caring about Avatar. That's insane. That's, the reason why Cameron took so long was that he wanted to get it right, and he was not willing to give it up. He was going to just mothball it. If he didn't care, he would have sold the rights already. If Cameron didn't care, he would have sold the rights long ago. But like John Landau said in an interview, this Alita was not something that they were willing to give up to anybody else. They wanted, either they were going to do it right or they weren't going to do it at all. And it just so happens that Cameron trusted Rodriguez with it. And he still does trust Rodriguez with it, judging by his comments after Terminator Dark Fate. Tim Miller's situation is a whole different thing. Now, there was something they had threw her under the bus. They threw Watts under the bus. And it was Bob Iger. Bob Iger made the comment Fox and Watts endured a brutal 2019 box office. The major misses including X-Men spin-off Dark Phoenix and the Cameron-produced Alita Battle Angel. The losses prompted Disney chief Bob Iger to say on an August earnings call that the performance of Fox films were well below where we'd hoped it would be when we made the acquisition, resulting in a loss of $170 million in the second quarter of 2019. But here's what they don't tell you about those two movies specifically, Dark Phoenix and Alita Battle Angel. Both of those movies were screwed over by the merger. And Dark Phoenix was screwed over not just by the merger, but by Disney meddling. As early as March 2018, I've already got videos about this with the evidence. As early as March 2018, Disney began influencing the making of Dark Phoenix. They were demanding reshoots suddenly of the movie, and even some people who are hardcore Disney, I don't want to use the word shills, but basically they are hardcore Disney shills, would deny it. But what's his name? Not Matthew McConaughey. What's that other guy name? The guy who plays Magneto. Doggone it. Anyway, the actor said that there were spies on the set of Dark Phoenix, right? And that they were taking ideas from the movie. So they were taking ideas from Dark Phoenix. They were cannibalizing the movie, forcing them to reshoot the movie and using ideas in other movies. And I'm going to go ahead and name drop that movie that they said was that I have seen actually evidence for, that they had took ideas for, and that other movie was Captain Marvel.
First time around in 2017, has the film changed a lot, do you think, from what you experienced when you finished the film then? Because obviously there were reshoots. And
the end changed a hell of a lot, didn't it? That was really... The finale had to change.
Yeah. What was in the finale?
And it is for the better. There was a lot of overlap and parallels with another superhero movie that came out a while ago. And we had no idea that we were...
They had spies on set and basically... Stole our ideas.
We were basically...
infiltrated. They had spies on set and basically stole our ideas.
We were basically...
infiltrated.
Yeah, we were trawling through the same source material, it seems. Source material, it seems.
Interesting.
Yes.
Can you name which film?
No.
Your face was like, okay, alert.
They had taken ideas from Dark Phoenix, forced them to reshoot the movie, and used those ideas in Captain Marvel. Now, not only did they force them to reshoot the movie and balloon the budget and push the movie back, force it to miss its date, and poor Simon Kinberg came out and took the blame for the whole thing when he didn't have to, but he's just trying to keep his job. He's just trying to stay workable or to stay employed in Hollywood. He came out and took the blame for the mess, but it wasn't on him. It was all Disney meddling. And so they pushed the movie back. And not only that, but during that year, Simon Kinberg said that there were Fox employees in marketing who were losing their jobs. And not just marketing, but other departments too. People were just losing their jobs. And these were people who were needed to properly market both Dark Phoenix and Alita Battle Angel. And even now, they're still doing a crummy job of marketing. All year they've been doing a terrible job of marketing these movies. And they have the nerve to say that, oh, the movies didn't perform in the way we had hoped when we made the purchase. You sabotaged it, though, Bob Iger. You sabotaged these movies. You sabotaged Dark Phoenix. And not only that, but when Dark Phoenix came out in the summer and it didn't do well, because they pushed it back because it wasn't even ready. If you listen to Simon Kinberg, he wasn't even sure if it would be ready by February. And they had pushed back to July. So when February or the winter rolled around, they had to get Alita away from the movies in December. So they said, let's put it in February, right? We don't want to do it in December because there's too many blockbusters coming out. It would have got squashed up against Into the Spider-Verse and Aquaman and Mary Poppins. It would have got crushed. So they put it in February. And then the movie Dark Phoenix, which Simon Kinberg says he wasn't even sure if it was going to be ready by that time. They said, let's move that back to July. So when July comes around, the movie does poorly. Then they say, well, maybe it would have done better in July, but Disney moved Alita to February, which pushed Dark Phoenix to July, all because Cameron wanted to protect Alita. So basically, they threw Cameron and Alita under the bus to explain why Dark Phoenix failed, when it was really just all about Disney meddling with these movies, forcing reshoots, pushing back the deadlines, and not properly marketing movies in the first place. So he has the nerve to say this after what they did to both of these movies. So definitely justice for Dark Phoenix, which wasn't a bad movie, but I still would rather see what Simon Kinberg originally had planned. Justice for Dark Phoenix and justice for Alita Battle Angel, doggone it. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. That went on actually longer than I wanted to. I started getting into stuff that I didn't really think I would get into that much, but that's pretty much it. So thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you later.